Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat, a show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. I am a clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist. I'm in private practice, although I'm transitioning out of that and going full-time coaching. And I'm also the parent of two ADHD kids, one of each guy. Well, he was a little boy, now he's a man, with hyperactive ADHD, and a girl who's on the quiet side. She didn't really make any fuss, she just was never there. Okay, and I also somehow I married into a whole family of ADHDers. Maybe it's because I think they're kind of fun. I don't know. But last time I was talking about, a whole bunch of things that can happen with ADHD, but I use the term systems theory, and it occurred to me that I had never really explained what system theory is. Okay, and so we will correct that. Systems theory been around since about 1950, I think, and it is real flexible. It's used in a lot of different, it's used in engineering, science, sports coaching, work and business consulting, that sort of thing. Basically, first of all, a system is any group of parts that are working together to do some particular job. This was more popular some years ago, but it still is a really good explanation, especially when you take family systems theory, which is, the whole system is a bunch of interdependent parts, okay? Parts that have a relationship, like family members. And what happens to one affects the other. Mom gets sick, it affects everybody else in the family. One of the kids has muscular dystrophy, it affects the whole family system. And of course, if one or more children are ADHD, it affects everybody else in the family. And what you frequently see is if when you have a family has one special child, guess who gets all the attention? The one special child. If it's a physical condition, it's all the trips to the doctor, all the medications, maybe there's some physical therapy involved, all that kind of thing. So one of the parents, maybe both, are changing, getting involved with that. And that, guess what? If you have another child, it doesn't leave much room for him or her, or much time and attention. And frankly, I've seen a lot of families where the child without the problem feels neglected and is kind of angry about it. Oh, he gets everything, kind of thing. And it's not a good thing, and it's hard for the family to figure out exactly how to handle it. Okay, and frankly, it's not a thing that a lot of parents even think about, but you really have to. Your job's to raise all of your children, not just the one with the special needs. And you have to figure out a way to do some special things with the child that is the normal one, or the one without the problem. And it's an issue. When you think about it, okay, if you have an ADHD family, typical ADHD family, whatever that is. Okay. Say the mother does not have ADHD. Dad probably does, but he's never been diagnosed. They have a little boy who's also ADHD, and a daughter that may or may not be. She may have that inattentive, but nobody said anything about it so far. Think about what that family is like, especially think of what it's like for the mother. I remember I had a patient, a family, the whole family was patients because I think they had 4 kids and every one of them had ADHD. And dad had ADHD too. He jokes that he was on the 7-year program to get through college. Mom was clearly a little bit overwhelmed. I mean, she was having to take care of all of these people and their ADHD as well. And she actually did pretty well, but you have to really make allowances for that. But you also have to understand your whole family system. Okay? What kind of ties does your family have? What kind of beliefs does your family have? What kind of activities is your family involved in? What are some other difficulties your family may have other than coping with some ADHD? What's the income like? What's the intellectual level, the educational level? All those things make a difference. And the thing you cannot do is say, well, and that used to happen, is that the ADHD kid, he got a lot of attention, but it wasn't all positive attention. A lot of it was punishment and that sort of thing, and punishment does not work very well with ADHD, just because the old reward and punishment kind of stuff is great for behavior problems. Well, it's not so great actually, but it works some for behavior problems. But ADHD is not a behavior problem. It's a neurologic condition. And if you keep punishing it, you're going to have a lot of troubles. Okay, it's going to get worse and worse. On the other hand, you don't want to be inconsistent about it, I guess would be the way to put it. I mean, had a guy adopted a child and never had been evaluated, was a junior, I think, in high school or something. Had never been evaluated, as I said. I evaluated him. I had no doubt that he had ADHD. Dad didn't want to hear that. Mom was kind of quiet about it, but they never bothered to get any treatment for him. And as a matter of fact, the kid was starting to run wild, and Dad was gone a lot for business. And so Mom, who was a brittle diabetic, so wasn't at the top of her strength, was having to deal with this kid who was acting out. And he particularly had a girlfriend up in in the next big town up from us, big city up from us. And he took the car without asking, left her without any vehicle, and drove off to be with his girlfriend. Well, I found out about all this because Mom calls me and and then the kid finally gets back home, and Mother is wanting to string him up by his thumbs or something. And guess what Dad does? He buys him a new Camaro. You don't have to punish him, but you certainly don't reward him for bad behavior. There's a line. And guess what that meant for his brother? Okay. So you see that a lot. You see the kid who doesn't have ADHD resents the heck out of the kid who does have ADHD, because the kid is always they're taking him to special appointments. Well, if they're treating it, which is if I do say so, I think it's a really good idea. Ideally, for an ADHD kid, they're identified early, like in second or third grade, and they start treatment so that by the time they hit high school, they know kind of how to handle things, how to compensate, and probably how to use their medication. Okay, I know this is a lightning like subject for some people, but the research is pretty conclusive that it works, and it works well for people. And if you especially for school, my God, school is designed as a test of your ability to attend and concentrate more than it is your brilliance, and it's not going to go away, and they're not going to get better at it just because you are disappointed in them or that sort of thing. So, long story short, your family is a system. Okay? Depending on how well you all are getting along, it can be an efficient system. It's getting things done that it needs to get done, and with a minimum of stress and strife. If your system is not functioning well, dad's got untreated ADHD, he keeps getting fired from jobs, mom has to work full time, longer hours than she would like to, and dad, by God, is not going to be on any medication, and we see that a lot. I used to see it a lot when I was in full-time practice. And, the issue becomes, okay, your system is not working well. The whole family is not working well. Dad's not functioning well. Mom's overwhelmed and overworked. The kids, if dad's not going to take the medication, he's not going to insist his kid get any. So the teacher's going to keep calling up going, would you come get your child? They do that nowadays. When I was in school, no way they would do that. But nowadays it seems like they just would rather export him to home or her to home, and not have to deal with it. I'm oversimplifying, of course, but if your family is functioning well, okay, you have both parents, if one of them's got ADHD, or both for that matter, they're in some kind of treatment, and they've learned to adapt and adjust. They understand ADHD, all that sort of thing. Their child is in treatment and is starting to understand ADHD and learn to compensate for things, and understand that he or she is not, lazy, crazy, or stupid, as the book title says, that they are as bright, if not brighter, than their cohorts. They just have this problem with boredom and paying attention and that sort of stuff. Okay, if the family's got all that going, odds are, the kids will make reasonable progress in school, maybe go to college, maybe not. That's a whole different issue. But they'll get the amount of education they want, and maybe then go to some vocational training or go to college. College is certainly not magic. But in general, right up to a bachelor's degree, if you have that much, you're probably going to make more money over your lifetime, than somebody who doesn't graduate from high school or has only a high school degree. That's just statistically, okay? So individual people, there's always one guy who's got the biggest construction company in 3 states and lives in the big house and all that stuff. Because there are some. I mean, making a good living is different from making they're getting good grades in school. Um, it's one of those measures of resilience and persistence. Okay, so ideally, you can see that if your family is functioning well, your children are going to do better in school, and they're going to do better with each other and with normal adjustment. When there's a lot of stress, and more stress than just the ADHD kid, it's not going to do so well. So if mom and dad are doing well, then odds are they will do better with their children. They'll be able to handle an ADHD child. They should be getting some help because there's not a whole lot of old school parenting, that gets you ready for an ADHD child. You have to know what you're dealing with, and you have to know that there are sometimes you need to back off. Sometimes you need to be a little more positive. It's a whole list of things that you have to do that are counterintuitive, I guess I'd say. You have to know that ADHD is a neurologic condition. You have to know that it's based on neurotransmitter deficiencies in the brain. You have to know that they are not retarded or stupid or any of that other stuff. They have a problem focusing their attention and staying focused. They're easily bored. They're highly energetic. You have to figure out how to make use of the positives and minimize the negatives. And if you and your wife or your spouse, are doing are together and doing reasonably well, your kids will do reasonably well because you'll together make the proper decisions, the good decisions, the smart decisions. And I don't like to, let's just say we have treatments, we have science, medical, psychological research is being done all the time. Like I think I've told almost every session I've mentioned that when I was a young parent, my kids, there was no such thing as ADHD. Even though I had several people with advanced degrees from pricey institutions emphasizing pediatrics, they didn't know what to make of my son. Of course, he does have the highest IQ in the family, so that was a further confound. But, the research just was not there on ADHD because there was no such thing as ADHD back in those days. Now we have a lot more research, and you do well to make use of the science. There's always going to be somebody who's going to say, well, I switched my kid to broccoli juice, and he's just doing so well in school. Okay, maybe. But remember, the weakest form of information, the weakest form of knowledge is a single case study. Because sometimes, stuff happens by accident, not because of the broccoli juice, but because something else changed. He got a girlfriend, or she developed a passion for English literature. That's something, the thing you have to understand is how to determine what the truth is. Okay? Single case study, one person saying this worked for me, That's the weakest form of proof we have. The next is a group. If you've got a group that they're all drinking broccoli, their kids are all drinking broccoli juice, fine. But is there something else going on? Because you haven't controlled for anything. And the strongest is the case study, double-blind case study, where you have a control group that doesn't get anything. You have a faux treatment group that gets some fake thing. They get lemon lime soda or something. And then you get your treatment group, which they get the broccoli juice. And you balanced them. So they're, roughly the same age, roughly the same sex, roughly, you've balanced it out so that all the groups are pretty much alike. Then you've got a decent time of treatment, say three or 4 months, and then you have a detailed evaluation at the end, and then you can say with some authority that, yeah, broccoli juice really does work with ADHD. But until you do all that, it's, because anybody, okay, my wife is a cancer survivor. She gets more things from people talking about apricot pits and other things like that are treatments. And her thing was, look, I'm going to do everything they tell me, the doctors tell me to do. Because at the end, I don't want to be going, oh God, I wish I'd paid attention to them. And it's been 20 years. So learn how to interpret scientific stuff. And understand newspapers, general news sources are terrible ways to find out stuff. Latest advances and stuff like that. Because journalists, I used to be one myself, they don't know anything about interpreting research. So get with doctors who know how to interpret research. Okay? All right. And think about your family as a system. Look at the pieces and how they're working and how they're functioning together. And what are the unique stresses they have? What are the unique strengths they have? And play to both of those. Okay? And okay, we will, boy, I went a little bit long. Okay, we will catch you next time. Just want to tell you that I am now doing coaching. I do a lot of executive coaching with executives with ADHD or ordinary entrepreneurs with ADHD. So my website is terrygingrassphd.com. Get in touch with me through there. We can do a freebie evaluation and then decide if we're a good fit for each other. I'm also, and I've been asking about this for a while now, but I'm trying to decide if I want to do a course or I want to do a membership group. A membership group being one of those where we get together a couple of times a week for as long as you want to go. And I provide extra training and then that sort of thing. Or the other thing is just a course, like a 6-session module that you're probably used to on ADHD. And anyway, if you'd let me know, I'd appreciate it. And just give me a buzz and tell me what you would prefer to have or something else you'd rather have. And also, let me know if there are any topics you'd like me to cover. Okay. We will see you next time.